What's up, everyone? What's up? What's up? How's everyone doing? All right. Before we get started, I wanted to watch this. I want to watch this video from a decent creator, right? A decent creator that he's saying he's going to tell Spencer's invest. Check him out, right? I just want to do this with you guys. He's going to talk about this stock, and I might be putting money into it, right? Because it sounds good, so I'm going to check it out.
So we're going to discuss the 3 reasons why I think TDAC will be the top performer in the high income space in 2026. And when I say high income, I'm usually talking 10 to 20% yields. I don't usually go much higher than that. I know we have some funds that do that, but they suffer from NAV erosion. And so I'm specifically talking about this more mid-level yield. They're not going to yield 40, 50% consistently, but I'm really excited to see how TDAC performs. So the 3 reasons. First, Tap Alpha uses a strategy that is very unique. We've seen it before, but the way that he implements it, and by he, I should just say Tap Alpha as a whole, but I say he because I know the CEO. His name's Sai Katara. I've had him on the channel for an interview, which I'll link at the end of this one for those that are interested. He gives a phenomenal breakdown into the strategy behind both TDAC and the other fund, the sister fund, brother fund, T-SPY, which we're going to showcase later on in the video. It is another reason why I'm betting big on TDAC. But firstly, we have the fact that these use the 0 DTE expirations. So I recommend checking out the website. The website looks phenomenal. We do see expense ratio 0.68%, a little bit high, but not nearly as bad as a lot of funds out there in the high income space. But they're utilizing this 0 DTE strategy that stands for 0 days till expiration, meaning that they are writing their options every single day on the fund. So what you're going to get with this style of fund, with the 0 DTE style, you're going to get direct exposure to, with in this case, QQQ, which with T-SPY, you get it to the S&P 500. You're going to have the income generation, and these do focus on income generation over growth. I will say that right away. They're income producing funds.
Noodles. It's going to be provocative, right? The what I'm going to do a little bit later. It's going to be provocative, but I believe it's affecting the Black community. I'm going to say it a little bit later, right? I'm going to talk about it a little bit later after this video. I just wanted to watch this video with you guys. It's about stocks, an ETF that I might put a little bit of money in. So I just wanted to watch a little bit, and then we'll talk about tonight's live.
So that is key. And it changes. It depends, especially with the yield. Sometimes you may get a higher yield, depends on the underlying of the market. But all in all, with how we've seen T-SPY perform, I have a lot of faith in how TDAC will perform with the distribution. And you do get maximized time decay with these because of those 0 DTE calls. You're going to have time risk and flexibility. Now, one thing that's really important with all of these income style funds is the strategy behind it and who's running the strategy. And I will say, from what we've seen with T-SPY, I have a lot of confidence in Tap Alpha to continue the trend. And we'll get more into T-SPY later, but that was only reason number 1. Reason number 2 of why I'm choosing TDAC is because we've seen T-SPY be an outperformer. It has done extremely well. And again, I'll showcase that at the end of the video at some point. But we see T-SPY doing super well, and it's writing its options, its 0 DTE options on the S&P 500. Reason number 2, we are now writing 0 DTE options on the NASDAQ 100. And we're on NASDAQ's website, but the NASDAQ has higher volatility than the S&P 500. And they're kind of discussing about some of these myths and whatnot, but I really want to showcase this chart right here. It only goes to 2018. I'm not sure why, but we can see that because it has fewer companies in it, right? We have the NASDAQ 100, 100 companies that are tech focused, and the S&P 500, 500 of the largest companies. The NASDAQ's going to have more implied volatility. It's going to be riskier to hold. Now, we have seen it outperform as well, which is another thing we should think about. Not only are we going to get better premiums, but if the trend continues, we should also get a better growth component with the NASDAQ than we will with the S&P 500. So I'm very interested in seeing how these two combat each other. I think it'll be cool to have a duo, a partnership of both indices where, yes, even if we're getting a lot more performance with QQQ. Maybe in some tough times, the S&P 500 holds up better simply because it has more. I think it's going to go anywhere even near 20%, to be honest. But I do think we'll see a higher yield with TDAC versus T-SPY. So we're going to pull in all of these fan favorite and well-known S&P 500 income-producing ETFs, and let's see what comes out on top. So we are now in reason number 3. I'm choosing TDAC for 2026. Just to recap, higher implied volatility on the NASDAQ and better performance, and the zero DTE strategy that Sai Katara uses like a genius to make both income and even a little bit of growth. But I want to show you guys all the funds we're comparing. Again, these are S&P 500 ETFs, but T-SPY is utilizing the exact same strategy that TDAC is utilizing. So I assume, we're guessing a little bit here, that with how well T-SPY has been performing, TDAC will have a similar performance, if not better, for the reasons I already mentioned. Now, we're going to look really quick at all of these funds. The fund, the expense ratio, and this was a big deal, the win with the fact that they are cheaper to hold their funds, just is. Then we have JEPI, and here's one thing that blew me away. JEPI has a $44 billion market cap and a lower expense ratio of 0.35%. Now, it has underperformed. It has underperformed, I believe, all 3 of these funds, but we'll see that in just a moment. So I understand why a lot of these issuers are trying to make better versions of basically JEPI. So T-SPY is utilizing the zero DTE. SPY-I, their strategy is relatively generic, but they do have some bonuses on taxes and whatnot. But all in all, they have been outperforming JEPI. And so I imagine these fund issuers are saying, hey, JEPI has $40 billion invested. If we can get $5 billion of that money into our funds, we can make money off of it. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised why JEPI still has such a diehard following when it has underperformed these other funds. That's just me. Then we have GPIX, the Goldman Sachs S&P 500 premium. It's $1.6 billion, 0.29% expense ratio, which is very solid. Then we get into the weekly pairs. We have XDTE by Roundhill, 1% expense ratio, 400 million AUM. WDTE, a 1% expense ratio, 74 million AUM. That's by Defiance. SDTY is our YieldMax S&P zero DTE covered call.
Okay, I mean, I just wanted to watch that a little bit. It's just, you know, I was thinking about this stock, TDAC. You know, for me, when it comes to stocks, I like to outsource my the intelligence, right? The gathering information. Hello. Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying that I like to outsource my information gathering when it comes to stocks and just decide on then. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started into the stream. Let's get started. Noodles, thank you for being here. Eddie, my brother, thank you for being here. Laughing Man, I love you. Thank you for being here. So tonight, the title seems controversial, which it is, and it's not really a clickbaity in the way that I am going to talk about. I believe that morality, respect, fear, right? Morality and respect and fear for authority, for your elders, for your parents, has not been taught in the Black community. Is not taught, is not pushed, is not important in the Black community. But here's the thing: I believe it's not important in many cultures, particularly, let's say, white and Black cultures. This is what I'm saying. I think this is the poison, right, in the Black culture, where white culture, right, individualism has poisoned Black culture, has poisoned the Black community. Asian community, we are built on the foundation of morality, of fear and respect for authority, for your elders, for your ancestors. And I believe that is a very important important factor for establishing, maintaining a community. Okay. Now, individualism is important, right? Individualism is important, but I think it's gone to such a far extreme where that is the main thing. Okay. So because of that, I believe, let's say this, white people are Asian community is doing better than the white community. So imagine that. Why are so many immigrant communities doing better even than the white community? Right? Asian communities, immigrant communities are doing better than the white community. It is because they understand the individualism that is American culture, but they want to hold on to what is a very important basis in immigrant cultures. Okay. And that's family. That's fear, respect for authority. That's morality. And I think that is a detriment to the white community, but it's an even worse detriment for the black community. Okay. It's a worse detriment for the black community. So I believe the lack of fear and respect has hurt the black community being taught, right? Being taught about morality, pushing morality, being taught about fear and respect for authority, fear and respect for your elders, for your parents, is a very dangerous thing in the black community. Right. So that is the topic for tonight. Now, okay, if you guys want to talk about it, if anyone wants to talk about it, you guys can join. If you guys don't, it's all good. Okay. You guys don't have to join. Because I know that link is in the chat. If you guys don't want to join, it's all good. Okay, you don't have to join. I know it's not necessarily like a hot, women kind of topic, so you guys don't have to join. I'm just going to show some videos. We're going to react to some videos about some police cam videos, which is where my head is at. Okay, where's my head is at. So. All right, so let's check this. Let's check the video out.
She lying, so don't listen to shit she's saying. Don't listen to shit she's saying. When I got these hands off, I'm gonna punch the shit out of her. That's fake ass bullshit. She not paying people that ain't working for her. That's what's going on. Police
Exhibit A. So you want to punch somebody, okay? You want to punch somebody. We'll probably figure it out. Artie, what's up, my brother? What's up? You want to punch someone, and then you are looking down on Evil Eddie. All right.
Good evening.
Yo, what's up, my brother? What's up?
Not much. Good to see you.
All right, let's watch this clip together. It's good to see you. It's good to see you, my brother.
Yelling and wanting to fight. I just walked away in the office. I'm not going to argue with them. I already explained to her that she'll have her pay copies on Monday or Tuesday. She knows that. So I don't know why she got all her family and came up here like that.
Wendy want to pay my baby her money that she don't work for.
Oh, that's mom and daughter back there?
Yes, sir.
y'all all went to Wendy trying to get cash.
An employee at Wendy's decided that enough was enough. Tensions boiled over when unpaid hours on her paycheck sparked a confrontation, transforming what should have been a calm discussion into a complete disaster.
I'm working and I'm not getting paid. I'm working and I'm not getting paid, so I have the right to be upset. I'm not getting paid. I'm not mad because I need my money.
Here's the thing where this is really idiotic. Okay, this is where this is not cool. Where you bring reinforcements to talk about employment disputes. It's like that's not common. That's really, to be honest, you're doing that because you are leading down a path where, you know what, potentially it's a fight. Potentially you want to create chaos. Where normally, right, people would just, if you have a payment dispute, you yourself, as the person who is working there, go and talk to management. But this is a thing where there's no morality, there's no respect, there's no fear for authority, there's no sense of decorum, right? All this is the problem, and again, I'm fine with anyone who wants to debate it, who has a counter argument in it, but it's one of the things that's hurting the Black community. Not everyone, right? Of course, I don't say everyone, but it is one of the keys that are hurting the Black community, and it's hurting the image of the Black community. Now, I would say this, right? There's plenty of other communities that has issues with that too. So I'm not saying that, oh, it's only the fault of one community. But for, let's say this, for a community that is constantly on the defense or constantly saying oppression and all these victimhood mentalities, these are the counter arguments, right? These are the things that you need to focus on your own house before you focus on, let's say, outside of your house.
Is she wearing Crocs with sandals in the middle? Sorry, Crocs with socks.
Crocs with socks.
Boo.
That's definitely a rock band named Crocs with Socks.
Crocs with socks.
All right, so everybody's not here is not free to leave. Everybody here's
I'm
detained.
free to leave.
No, you're not, man. You're
Whoa.
not free to leave. I'm telling you, you are detained. You are detained. You are detained. You are detained. Nobody here is free to leave. Huh?
I'm not detained because you didn't just call on me. So let me out because I'm constantly want to see my receipt. Exactly. Like I thought she just called that. So that's fine.
Give me 1 second, okay? So we got a call. We're trying to figure out. Okay, have a seat.
Come here, man.
Where that dog at? Release that dog.
Yeah, the dog.
Right here.
Yeah, get that dog on that ass.
Oh.
Stand back. Stand back.
And this is the thing what I'm saying, right? I'm not saying that I don't disagree with the fact that the police, they have their own issues, right? The police system has their own issues. I've seen, and I believe this, right? You gotta think these are average people that gain power. Average people that gain power, yes, it can corrupt you, most definitely. So I don't disagree that there are issues in the police system, but at the end of the day, why add to that? Why make things an issue? So as much as we have our own pride, we have our own beliefs, I believe that at the very least, you must show respect. It's just how the world is. You must show respect for the police. They are authority. And I believe that it's indicative where most likely you have no respect for a father. You have no respect for a mother. You don't fear your mother. You don't fear your father. So why would you fear someone who's even more powerful, a police officer? So it's just family values, which, and the sad part is that it's lacking in the Black community. Now it's lacking in, like I said, many communities, families are being destroyed, but I believe it's a detriment, particularly in the Black community.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. That's as this space kind of develops, that's something that more and more channels like you, me, and there's several other ones, they kind of like they shine a light on it because it is a ugly mark and nobody really wants to deal with it. And that's why I always make the claim when I do my videos and stuff like that, nobody wants to like talk about it or actually address the root cause. They just kind of want to make the kind of more grand, like they just want to use all the buzzwords, or they want to like make all the grand showings and stuff like that. Nobody wants to dig down and like narrow it down to like people's individual actions. And that's why I always say the God fearing part, because this is a prime example of people who they don't fear the police. Well, why would they ever fear the police? They don't fear God. They don't fear being broke because half of them don't work. They don't fear just having kids out of wedlock because they continue to do that. They don't fear drug overdose. They do that. They don't fear their poor conditions at all. Like they don't care about none of the other things that are important in life. So what on earth would, I mean, I know this is not directed toward you, but what on earth would somebody from the complete outside looking in would say, oh well, or how could somebody ever side with these people saying, oh, they're being detained or they're being wrongly persecuted or oppressed in some way? They don't even fear take. It's one thing when somebody takes care of their stuff and somebody damages it, but if they
Mhm.
damage their own stuff, like how is anybody ever going to side with that person saying, oh look, somebody else is damaging my stuff? Dude, you damaged it before, you know what I mean? Like, and nobody wants to address it, but I'm glad you addressed it. I say it all the time. Like that's why I made the mention. Where that dog at? Get them dogs out. I'm a black man. And I'm a firm believer in things have to be right and just, and that's the number one reason why the dating space, the economic space, the poor conditions in the black community, it's always going to be there because nobody ever wants to address it and make standards, make okay, we're going to do things by the book. We're going to be healthy, so we're going to eat clean. We can't even get black people to just do that. You
Mm.
know what I mean? I don't eat the cleanest, but I make sure I eat veggies all day, every day. You know what I mean? That's all I eat all day. And I eat them raw too. So to not have them in butter and not have them in different sauces and stuff like that, that's my way of like bringing it into my life. But I'm not at the point of somebody like these people, everybody's overweight. They all drink, and not everybody, but they all drink and smoke. They all party. They all, don't get good rest. They all gossip. They all don't work hard. They all damage their own property, neighborhoods, their own children, this, that, and the fourth, I mean, it's sad to say, like, there was a case a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, like the town that it was right outside of where I grew up at, a 19-year-old girl died from hopping in a car with somebody who was 35 years old, a Spanish guy. I'm not
Mm.
here to condone. I'm not here to condone why 11 o'clock at night she's seeing on a Ring doorbell hopping in a car of a guy outside her home who's of a different race and almost twice her age, but we kind of can insinuate what's going on. But again, nobody wants to address it.
No,
And as
no.
more and more cameras get out and about in more and more places, we're going to see this in high def. Years ago,
I'm gonna say this where, um, uh, you know, I'll come in because I get a lot of these reactions like, "Oh, you're an Asian guy. Why do you care?" Or you shouldn't be saying this. Here's the thing where, you know, I've said this where my channel is about I hate victimhood. I hate victimhood. I promote accountability. So I wouldn't care if modern day black community. Now, of course, it's not a whole, right? It's not everyone, and maybe not even the majority, maybe, but there's a lot of victimhood going around in the black community. There's a lot of lack of accountability in the black community. So that is why, you know, I, you know, I'm even talking about it because I feel like that's something that's a big detriment right now. Okay, so if we want to, end the victimhood, solve the issues with lack of accountability, I'd rather talk about it. That's my thing. Berlin, what's up, my brother?
How you guys doing? Figured this would be a great topic, and figured I'd lend some logical thought to it.
Okay. But let's watch a little bit up more, and then we'll continue it.
Okay,
hey, hold on, Broke Berlin. What's your channel name?
Broken Berlin.
That's what it is on YouTube.
Yes. If you filter it by channels, I pop right up.
Broken. It's all one word.
No. Broke in Berlin.
Just like his username.
All right. I got you. I was looking for it the other day, but I didn't know if you had a weird spelling. I typed it in, and some other German stuff popped up, and I was like, all right, well, that's a wrap for looking for him. So I see him again. I'll ask him.
Yeah. Until I start doing actual interviews, just do it and filter by channel, and I'll be the first one to pop up. But thanks for looking.
Right, I got you.
All right.
All right.
You understand? Sit in the chair and we're all going to handcuffs. Sit down. Now. Can I please have another unit? It's the 45. She's 17. She'll be all right. I will sit down. Don't touch me. You should. I'm gonna light my back.
Cancel the 44.
I'm gonna light my back in this video.
Y'all, we just fought, and y'all can't hold nobody.
What's wrong with you? Sit down.
She been sit down. Y'all, we just fought. She's yelling at her like,
Because how many times I've
they
said
fight, so they treat us like shit.
of course. Because y'all are here committing crimes, and we're the ones
We
who
Do you hear this? Hey,
No,
It's resistance.
You don't by chance have subtitles, do you, sir?
Subtitles?
So sorry.
Sadly, I don't think so. Let's see.
Okay, my fault.
Probably it.
The shit she's saying. She don't listen to shit she's saying.
There we go.
That's just it.
Hey, no.
That's not her. She not paying people who ain't working for her. That's what's going on. She not paying people.
What do you buy by the regular?
Yeah, let her go that way because she's going to She's trying to plead all innocent and shit. I hate that shit like that. She's trying to plead all innocent and shit. I swear to God. She's trying to plead all innocent and shit to this police officer. I swear to God. Police officer's fault. I swear to God. This is police's fault. Officer's fault. Police's fault. It's officer's fault.
Well,
Mama, no ass, bitch, I'm in handcuffs. I ain't finna get detained with you. Me neither. Come on. I'm just saying.
Sir, you have to rewind that. You have to.
That was wild,
you
man.
have to. Yeah.
She's trying to plead all innocent and shit. I hate that.
It's like after the third, I swear to God, like something came into her, you know.
Yeah, she got possessed for a second.
I swear to God. This is police's fault. Police's fault. It's officer's fault.
And here comes the demon. That's not funny, but
I'm just saying, he over here and all this. They do that. Let them do that. They not lying. I want to talk about him. I'll talk about this whole over here. This manager. I didn't. How did I feel along with it? So if I was telling her to chill out, so how that's playing along with it? Y'all ain't shit. Exactly. You see what I'm saying though? And you telling me I'm playing along? I don't fucking know that's not your action.
And for anybody who doesn't know, when somebody says chill out, that means chill out. Just so we know.
She said, "Oh, she got that lying. She got that lying."
Oh wow.
Mom, she is back there lying to this police officer. Mom, she back there lying to this police officer. This come out, this her, bro. Swear to God, bro. She back here lying. She lying, bro. She lying. Listen up. Do you guys want to tell me what happened on your own? Yes. I'm tell you right now. I'm just asking you now if you want to talk. Yes or no? I'm going to go there. Okay, I'll talk to you first. Let's go over here. Yeah, but you wanted to talk to my dad. So the first lady was talking about the camera. But she wanted to see if we can pull them up so we can show like who did what, because they tore up the whole like front line center. So they started yelling and wanting to fight. I just walked away from the office. I'm not going to argue with them. I already explained to her that she'll have her pay probably by Monday or Tuesday. She knows that. So I don't know why she got all her family and came up here like that. Yes, I already texted. No, I told her that we're both grown. Okay. I'm sorry. What did you say? What did you say, Scotty? No.
I'll be back later.
Yes, I did. Yes, ma'am. The old one, it just had 2 seconds. It had 4 seconds, and she only needed 3 seconds in her account. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, she wanted to know if you could. Okay. Yeah, everybody else, well, they're great. Slap, and then they're gonna.
Okay, so do we have any damaged property?
Yes. Yeah, they like, I don't know, it's like the front center, like where the cookies go in, they break that.
Can I see that? Can you show me that, please? So basically, yeah, okay. Okay, who did all this?
Wow.
I need to know who came back here and started being destructive. Her, the other officer,
Girl with the pink shirt, and then the younger girl.
and the girl with the pink shirt. Okay, what about the one that was screaming and being verbally aggressive before?
She said she was.
Was she involved at all, or she got here after that?
They were all getting together.
Okay, but who started being destructive with the property?
Okay, so that's screaming, the one with the pink shirt, and the younger, not the mom.
Okay, so all three. Okay. All three staying close.
We have 4, not 5.
Mom is fine.
Mom's fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
Not typically.
Not typically. No.
This is a thing where we said it, right? As this is, again, you know, I've said this before. As an Asian guy, why would I care? Why would I care? It's not like I do. It's not like I care like that. But the issue is that I see so much victimhood in the Black community. I see so much lack of accountability in the Black community. I see so much like I don't disagree about the I don't discredit the past, right? The history is ugly. It's ugly, and you know how how it came about is ugly. I don't say that, but I've always said this, where I believe in today's day and age, in 2025, if your own house isn't fixed yet, worrying about other stuff outside the house does not help. So one of the detriment is, here's this: you see a mom with her, I guess, 3 kids or whatever, right? At least one. No father there. No father. No one to instill respect and fear and morality and like decorum into their children. The mother will only instill how to be emotional. And I'm sorry, but for the Black community, that is one of the detriments. That is one of the things where people don't care about your issues when they see that, regardless of the white person, right? Regardless of the white man or not, you're still doing the things you're doing. You know, I mean, no white man in this whole situation, and yet, like you're just fighting within each other, right? So that's the thing where, again, why tonight's main topic, like I said, it's the lack of morality, lack of fear and respect for authority, lack of fear and respect for anything. Okay, of course, I get it. The black community is a very strong community, very strong community. I never doubt that, but that strength has now become part of their poison, where they're not scared of nobody, and they're not scared of authority. They're not scared of parents. They're not scared of elders. They're not scared of people in their community, and I believe it's a detriment. I believe it's a detriment. So, again, like I said, why would I care? It's that I always jump when things I see. It's the hypocrisies, the victimhood, the lack of accountability, and in these cases, in my eyes, I see the lack of accountability. I see that you think that you're a victim, but you're not. You're only a victim to yourself. So that's why I bring it up. That's why I see it as an issue. So that's my thing. You guys have any views so far?
I've just seen lately a lot of these types of videos, and it's just has me curious of what's going on in that community. They obviously need to do some fixing, because there's just so much of these videos coming out with them. Just like, if I was in handcuffs, I would be embarrassed and pretty much in shock and not talking back, not yelling F you or any of that. But yeah, so this is like surprising to me how they act when they're literally in handcuffs. I would be so ashamed and embarrassed. They just seem to be angry at getting in this situation.
Let me ask you guys a question. Who's been the overall educator of Black America, or who's been the teachers of us?
The mothers.
What do you
think?
Deeper.
What you would you call the American education system?
I would surmise public. I would say public schools, probably correct.
Public schools. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So who's responsible for the curriculum that we're receiving in those public schools?
Well, okay. I do agree that it is white establishments.
So it's deeper than that.
Deeper than that.
We are the stepchildren of white supremacy. That's just the truth of it. We are prisoners of war, and everything that we're learning, that we have to understand that this very demonic entertainment that we have called our culture, and we don't have a counterbalance. The Black church has completely lost its way, and there's no balance to the demonic programming that we're receiving in the ooish Hollywood bubble. This is why I always say that I really do think, and I would even ask the person here, do you think that Christianity has worked well for Black Americans, or do you think that we probably would have been better off with our original religion, indigenous? That way we would have maybe rejected some of the capitalism that we kind of have in our culture that allows us to have our temperament that we do. I thoroughly believe that if we were indigenous and followed that religion, I think we would be better off as a people. I think that our ability to minimize would be much more prevalent in the culture. And I think that our temperament would be way more tempered, because we would be more ingesting marijuana and mushrooms versus marijuana and alcohol, which, as a bartender, I see that alcohol has been the detriment to the red people and our people, and the way that it's been introduced into our culture. But all in all, I do say that we have bad teachers, and that's kind of the foundation of where we start to get better. We need to learn de-escalation at an early age. We need to have a different sort of public schooling at an early age. We need to understand that the bass music that we have in our culture, where our kids are pretty much putting that into our ears on a daily basis, I thoroughly believe brings on a bit of autism. That when we get angry, we look just like kids that are on the spectrum, who I've worked with. Whether you want to surmise that to military tactics or whatever, I do believe that all these questions can be logically figured out and then dissected and then put some solutions on the table. It's just that people always say that they're crazy. And I thoroughly believe that these dots that I've kind of connected are not crazy.
You know, I mean, I kind of agree and disagree with you in the same time. I mean, so my thing is that how I see this, right? I don't disagree. Where I agree with you is that what you were just saying about the counterbalancing, the countermeasures. Yes, how you're being taught in schools. There's no counterbalance. There's no countermeasures to that. I see the point of that. I see the vision in what you just said there.
But I'm saying in general, if after slavery, if Black people in general in America had rejected Christianity, do you think that we'd be better off as a people today or worse?
Well, here's my thing where I honestly don't know, but
come on, don't pussyfoot out the answer.
Well, okay, because here's why I say that. Here's why I say that, because if you believe, and maybe it is true that Christianity does not work for the Black community, but how I see is that if Christianity
you look at it. Do you think that Christianity has worked for the Black community?
Well, no, because this is why I say this, right? This is why I say this, where there are success stories in it,
sir. I'm just speaking about in general.
No. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That where I see it as, right. Where's the divergent? Okay, so why is it? Let's say this is how I see it, where the Black community as a whole started out at one place. Why is there a certain divergence where one group of people can make it work while another group of people can't make it work? There has to be a reason, or what was the divergent? So what I see is that
the divergent probably would have been during the Vietnam War, when men of color who were like blue collar people got taken into the draft. And then when they came back to their same neighborhoods, they saw that those neighborhoods were drug infested, and the people who were selling the drugs had the power and the clout with the police and the Black women, meaning that those men who came back with those problems from the Vietnam War came back to a land that wasn't theirs anymore. And this whole pimp culture all of a sudden in the urban areas has been infiltrated. So these men who came back with, drug problems, PTSD, the blue collar Black men, they came back into a community that was gang infested now, drug infested, and the church didn't do anything about it. The Black women in that neighborhood all of a sudden bit the poisonous apple and loved those men more than the men who were coming back from war. And I think that's kind of when the huge pendulum changed in the Black community.
Like
I can see that.
Bumpy Johnson.
Absolutely. Yeah, we put them on, and even to this day, we put these men on a pedestal when in reality they're terrorists. They're terrorists to our communities.
Capitalist terrorists.
Absolutely. Again, in indigenous religion, we believe about alchemy. His alchemy he got all this money for doing this. Who cares? He brought death and violence to a community. He poisoned a community. His alchemy is horrible. But because of our tie to Christianity and capitalism, we justify it and as long as you say, you're sorry to, Jesus, and you believe in Jesus, you're forgiven. Like, no, that doesn't work in indigenous religion. No. But I think that our ability to justify evil things for the sake of money is part of our problem in our community.
I can see that.
My kids got to eat, so I'll do evil things to somebody in the community because I don't know them. This is prevalent in our culture. The seven deadly sins are right in every aspect of, entertainment and hip hop when you really think about it. Like gluttony. And again, I'm not a Christian. I just analyze this.
No.
If
I definitely see that.
I'll ask Evil Addy, because 54% of white people globally are atheists. So really, it's actually people of color who are kind of upholding Christianity on a global scale. Do you think that if we as black people had just said, you know what, we don't hate Christians, it's just not for us, it's not working, and we switched, do you think that after about maybe 3 generations, our temperament and things would probably be better than when they are now?
Yes. I'm a firm believer that most religions do more harm than they supposedly do good. But I know that's not a very popular opinion. I believe to be more spiritually and just do good because it's the right thing to do. I know that's kind of weird, me being Evil Eddie, but it's kind of a play on who I am. But I just think religion is just another form of controlling people and making them do what you want to mine resources off them.
I'll even say that I think a lot of atheist people have a stronger and more moral code than a lot of people who are religious do, which you wouldn't really think, but I've met enough in my life they have a very strong moral code of honor and doing the right thing. They just don't believe in a higher power. A lot of times they are more empathetic, understanding to the nature of man and woman, to help those sorts of people out instead of judging. A lot of times that I see that we'll do in all religions, whether it's Jewish, Muslim, Christianity. So again, I just think that it's not. We've had bad teachers, we've had bad education, and if we change that at an early age and stick to it and give some sort of counterbalance to this demonic culture, because it's the only genre of music that's genocidal to its own people. There is no other genre of music that is kill, rob, and it means friend. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean friend. It doesn't mean associate. It means someone who is less than a man, the N-word. It's the only genre of music. And we blast this in our ears with the bass and the vibrations. And when we get drunk and high, we get triggered. I've seen it all my life as a bartender and as a bar owner. Like when the bass and the music and all that stuff starts, and we start drinking, that's when the problems come. And it doesn't mean that person's a bad person, but when they get into that vibration, then all of a sudden they make these mistakes and do these violent things because they're in a different state of mind.
So they're under the effect of cannabis and alcohol, and then they're like being programmed by this like media
and the bass music. Yeah, it's a strange concoction of when you hear these English words of degradation with the bass vibration going through you, and you see things that look like you, and you've been taught to hate things that look like you, and whenever someone disrespects you, you're ready to kill for this. This is you're willing to end a life that's precious because you've been disrespected, because you don't get real respect in the system of white supremacy. So you bogart, like, I'm respect me, I'll kill for respect. It's idiotic, but it's our culture.
AJ, what's up, my brother?
Yeah, I was having this conversation about rap music with a friend of mine, and I was saying a lot of the same stuff that in Berlin was saying, that this is the only, genocidal, homicidal, self-destructive type of music. Because even if you look at like aggressive white music, like punk rock or like death metal, they still don't talk about killing each other, right? The most aggressive forms of like white music, they don't talk about like, oh, I'm going to go take out another person who looks like me. You know what I'm saying? So
They might say their
Yeah.
mom or themselves, you know.
Yeah, more themselves. More
That's
themselves.
about it,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But like,
I'm gonna
but you don't go
cut
to like,
myself. You don't hear
you
our
don't-
rap music talking about cutting
yeah,
ourselves. We're too
you
vain,
don't
you
go to
know.
like a Slayer concert and hear like, yeah, we're gonna go, delete another metal band. That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? So you are correct in that this is unique to this particular, well, quote unquote art form. And it's so funny that it's so accepted that by even saying what you said, people just fly off the handle. It's like a knee-jerk, a raw nerve, like emotional response. Oh, you're not for the culture. It's like, no, you're for the betterment of the culture. You're calling out something that's so toxic and so accepted. It's kind of like almost like air. Like people can't even tell that they're breathing it because it's around them all the time, And we can't even think to a point to where like in the 80s and the 70s and in the 90s, even with like, Diana Ross and the Supremes, the Jackson 5, we have positive Black music. Right now, people only focus on the last, say, 30 odd years of the crap we have now. But back in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, they were leading the way in music moving forward. It was more positive than anything else.
Yeah, it was all about like love, right?
Yeah,
mostly love, just love between a man and a woman. It's beautiful. Yeah,
men and women wrote love songs back in the late 80s, even the early 90s.
To each other.
90s. Yeah,
now
we had
it seems like they hate each other now.
Jodeci and all these different groups who were writing love songs. The women wrote love songs, and now it's just been about the last 20, 25, 27 years. Everything's just gone backwards, and it's so bad that, and I say this, that the left, that progressives have a thing now to where they forget progress that's been made, to where they like do this revisionist history, right? So like people act like Black music was always this way. It's like, well, no, you can't forget the fact that the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, the music was doing it the right way, right? It seems to have gone awry lately. But now people look back all throughout, the last however many years and say, this is how it's always been. And that's just not the case. It's not the case at all. So I personally don't listen to any rap music or anything that's negative, swearing, talking about killing or any of that. I don't listen to any of it. And once you stop, you just find out that that's your life, that your way of thinking is just so much better. There's a boxer, Shannon Briggs, and he actually said that he'll listen to like rap beats with no lyrics. So if he hears an actual song, he'll go find the instrumental and just not have the lyrics at all. He hasn't listened to lyrics in 15 years. He says he just doesn't do it. But he'll hear like a dope beat, like who is that? And then do the instrumentals.
That is good. I think that's a good point, because I honestly think that media is poisoning the Black community. It's a big part of the poison that is that's a detriment in the Black community. So
the issue is that us Blacks we are the canary in the coal mine. Anything that happens to us first happens to mainstream society next.
Yeah.
Every single ill that's hit society hit us first. So look at where we
are.
No,
sir. It hit Indigenous people first, and then the Black community.
So Indigenous people had single moms first.
Yes.
No, they didn't. Come on, dude. Where name Indigenous peoples had gangs and the crack.
Sir, in the reservations in Canada and throughout America, they were castrating Indigenous women like crazy. They were taking them away from their parents and taking them away, and the fathers were already outside the house, and they were already alcoholics. Yes, the single father problem and single mother problem was already in the Indigenous reservations before they implemented into the inner cities. Yes, it's absolutely true.
So you think that the welfare state hit Indigenous peoples first?
They didn't even get welfare, but the welfare they did was
so how did it hit them first if it didn't?
I'm saying most of the tactics that most of those tactics were practiced on indigenous culture first, and then implemented into the Black community afterwards.
How?
This is what
There was no Monahan report.
Well, it's probably because of a smaller scale. Well, indigenous people make up a smaller scale, smaller population than the black, the black.
And they have their own
population, so-
sovereign territories on the reservations. So they might have done something similar, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't like, think of this, right?
Okay. I'm saying is that all I'm saying, it's the same way where people, a lot of times Black women will say, well, the Black woman is the worst, treated woman on the, it's like, no, you're not. That title definitely goes to indigenous women. Again, I'm just saying that a lot of the same taxes that they put into us, they did to indigenous communities first before they did it to us. This is why in the early 19th century, that a lot of Black people and a lot of indigenous people were claiming to be Black, because it was actually worse to be labeled as a Native American. So this is why a lot of people in Canada were claiming to be Black. This is why a lot of Indians in America were claiming to be Black, because there was a lot more respect that was put on your name if you were Black versus you saying you were indigenous. So they were getting degraded worse at the time than so-called Negroes and Black Americans.
We probably just didn't hear about this stuff, right? Because it's such a small population. We probably just didn't hear about it.
I don't know how you can say that a group that Native Americans who were never slaves, some of which owned slaves, were somehow denigrated worse than those who were slaves.
Because they were killed off instead of made slaves. That's why it's worse. On a global scale, the indigenous population has been almost eradicated. So that's why I say it's worse. We're still here.
So the people who were given reservations were treated worse than those who were freed from slavery. Okay, make sense.
Have you ever been to a reservation, sir?
Yes, I'm from Washington State. I've been to the Skookumchuck. I've been to Nisqually. I've been to Tulalip. Right. My great grandmother's half Blackfoot.
Okay, so you're asking me to make that make sense. I'm about to.
No, yeah. So people, yes, they were eradicated, fine, but the ones who were left have sovereign territory.
Wait. You can't just go past that. The people who were eradicated, and then how much of the pop? That's one. It's like 70%. It's a very high number. And two, the women who on those reservations, it wasn't like you were left alone. It was a deprogramming. They were making sure that they weren't speaking their original languages. They were castrating the women. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying, sir?
Okay. So Native Americans at least have their tribes, their languages, the reservations. Remember,
they don't have their languages, sir.
Yes,
the languages were beat.
I have Native Americans who speak their native languages. See, you're trying to
so that was only a few.
But can you name
there's no need to argue this.
Wait. Is this
okay? So wait, you're arguing
the point. Blacks speak our language.
Okay, you know what, sir? You can have it because it seems like the very basis of this argument is me saying that indigenous people have had some worse things than Black people, and you want to argue that. So you know what? Fine, you can go ahead and have your position, and I'll go ahead and let you have it because it's derailing what this show is.
I guess I'm just trying to understand,
but it doesn't seem like you're trying to understand it, and that's fine, sir. It's a pointless argument.
I just never heard this argument before, so it's very interesting to me.
It doesn't. If you're not listening too much to it, so that's why.
That's because I asked the question, and then you're like, just not.
I'm trying to answer it, and I'm not long-winded, and you keep interrupting. So again, it's no problem.
But see, this is how a dialogue works, and you want a monologue. Here. Okay. I'm gonna mute, and you go monologue.
I don't want to anymore. Yeah, I have no idea who that guy is.
It's fine. It's fine.
But I guess to the religion part, guys, like I agree with the religion part. Like I've been an atheist now for a long time, and being Black and being an atheist, especially other Black people. Oh, you don't believe in Jesus and da da da. I've had co-workers leave their church pamphlets on my desk and all this other stuff. But my issue is that I don't ever see us ever being able to, like, the majority of the population will always be religious.
No, yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like I've come to terms with that a long time ago. Look at like the Muslim world, and even like a lot of my friends that are like Catholics and evangelicals, and you look at them and you're just like, ah, gosh. But like, there's, when you try and have religious debates with people, and you bring up like really sound arguments to argue about just anything, people don't believe based on logic or reason or arguments. They believe because it makes them feel good. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like
that's
that's
why
the number one reason. Yeah,
I don't debate people on religion.
Yeah,
right? I don't care if you can feel whatever you want to feel. That's why I go about other angles, because at the end of the day, you are debating people on something that, on a book that it's like technically, it's a lot of things that are very fanciful, very fantasy like. So I don't really debate people on stuff like that. I use really modern day logic. So
but I think when you talk about the whole thing with religion, now you can't even argue like, oh, your ancient book, because now we hear, well, it's not about the Bible, it's a relationship, which means they don't even care about what the Bible says. They just say that it's a nebulous kind of feelings-based relationship. So if it's a person who was trying to say, I believe in Christianity because the Bible is the word of God, then you can maybe start and say, well, let's pick that apart a little bit, right? But all the Christians that I know now say it's just a relationship, meaning you can point out every single contradiction in the Bible, and they're just gonna, I don't care. I just believe because it makes me feel good, and I think that one day I'm gonna see grandma again. That's the basis of most modern Christianity in the United States. You could have said maybe back in the older times where it was more the hellfire and brimstone type of thing or whatever. But even the modern apologetics movement, where they were having whole classes on how to argue for religion, even that's kind of fallen by the wayside now. People aren't going to apologetics courses anymore. The whole Dawkins and Hitchens and that new atheist era where you saw all the Christians debating the atheists, that's done with. Now people, they're just saying, look, I believe because I believe, and you can't tell me otherwise. So
no, I mean, for me,
what solution would you have? Because at least because I'm bringing up a solution. You have the complaint. What is your solution, sir?
My solution is that we live in a country where there's a separation of church and state. And we live in a place where religious people can't persecute us for not believing, right? And laws are being passed that represent as big of the population as possible. I just don't see this.
Sir, I say, what's the solution for the Black community? You said that the majority. So what are some?
Okay.
I say like homeschooling and kind of getting away from the different public schooling and reshaping there at that level is one of the solutions. What solutions do you have?
The solutions for the Black community, first of all,
that's what we're speaking about on this panel, isn't it?
Can I
are we all on the
answer your
same
question? Can I answer your question? Here, I'll mute.
Are we all on the same page? Is that what the conversation is?
It's okay. It's okay. Here's the thing where for me, from my solution is it's about going back to family unit. I believe because we even think about this, right? Homeschooling right now, it's impossible in the Black community because there's such a lack of fathers. If the mother's not working, who's teaching the children? No one. So
we have to homeschool it differently, where it'd be like a family of 5 people. Or like 5 different families, and they all work together to have like a certain day or have a trade like it can be done. The only issue is that everyone's trying to think of doing homeschooling in a sense of nuclear father and nuclear mother. You can easily do a homeschooling system where you have your cousins and your aunts and people who are already in your family, and come together to kind of implement your own homeschooling family tribe system. It can be done.
Well,
We just have to think.
I mean, I don't. It's not like I don't see the virtues in that or the possibility of that. I just how I see is that I don't think it's as stable as it could be, because now you're dependent on people that I don't know. I've seen. We've had people
I think it's worse in public schools. If you want to kind of get the temperament out of us, the way that it is, and the bullying, and the gang culture, and all of that, it starts in public schools a lot of times.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think public school is right how it is not a good thing. I definitely agree with that.
It isn't. It's teaching us horrible things. It's teaching us the opposite of what it's supposed to be teaching us in the first place. It's teaching us that we need to be violent. Even if you have white people in school with us, in that kind of environment, we're perpetuating racist thoughts because we're showing that white kid not to like us in a lot of instances. I think our entire public school identity is completely wrapped into a mini fucked up version of America.
Merlin, then how's this, right? How are immigrants who are within those public schools, along with poor whites and the black community, how come they succeed?
Because they have a different infrastructure than we do. They have their culture has an infrastructure that's not so demonic the way that ours is.
But then why don't black community adopt something like that? Or you did say that we should share.
You said adopt.
We used to have that though. Think about it.
Yes.
When we were in the most after slavery ended, during Reconstruction, during Jim Crow, look at where some of mom's from Selma, Alabama. She's from Uniontown, right? Black communities, right? We're managing to build all these things about Black Wall Street, all these HBCUs. We built those under the pressure cooker of systematic racism, right? So black people, we know how to do this, and we're doing this at one point. We've fallen away from that. So we don't need to have some new solutions or anything. We can just go back to what we were doing before. It seems as though the more under pressure we were, the better we did. We just got freedom and didn't know what to do with the freedom after the 60s. But if you look, blacks, we started out with less economic progress than whites, but from 1887 to like 1960, we were going up economically faster than whites, even though they were above us. Our community was actually progressing quite well until the Great Society came. We had no crime, we had marriages, we had extended families, we had business. All these
we still had crime, sir.
But nowhere near like it is now. Come on, dude.
I'm just saying, let's not create this false utopia like we had no crime.
Nowhere
we had crime
still,
sir.
Crime. You can go to the black part of town, right? Matter of fact, haven't you ever seen in Harlem and other places where these white kids would go to the black part of town, like the 20s, 30s, to the jazz clubs and stuff to handle? It was a cool place to go. We didn't have anywhere near the crime because we had shame, we had family, we had other things to actually keep the foolishness out of our neighborhood. My mom said that they
were safe in our neighborhoods because we didn't want to deal with the police of something bad happening to a white person in the black neighborhood. That's why they were safe in the neighborhoods.
In the black community until the 80s,
the black people themselves were not always safe in those said communities. White people have always been safe.
Were any damn good then,
okay,
right? Is that what you're trying to say?
If I
was trying to say something, I would try to say something. But again,
it's more about just not being hackable.
No. I just want to say that we need to get back to what worked, and we have to acknowledge that at one point the black community did work. Can we at least acknowledge that we were working, we were doing well? The black community up until the Great Society was doing very well, and then in the last 60 years we kind of lost our way. But I don't like this revisionist history where everyone talks about, the Harlem Renaissance and Ella Fitzgerald and Malcolm X and Dr. King and all these great people and great things. The civil rights movement itself that was organized by black people, the Black Panthers, all these things, and just act like, well, blacks never could get together. No, we can't talk great about the generations that gave birth to those movements and those institutions, and then just say, well, we never knew how to do things.
No, I agree.
Those two things can't exist at the same time. My solution is we have to look back at what worked. We were under the most pressure, meaning the most racism, the most white supremacy, in the Black nuclear family and neighborhood and community was able to get us through the worst times. And now with feminism and other things, we're being told that just not work. But then you look at Jews.
Sir, I asked for a
Nigerians.
solution. You went all soliloquy.
My solution is
have you guys heard a solution yet? Because I'm listening.
Yes, let's go back to what worked. How about that? Yeah, see, you can't even say Blacks were any damn good. You can't say it.
No,
You're trying to say let's do some woo-woo spirit cult like 5 marriage, homeschool, bow down before Indians and beg for money. What is this? What is this?
I know. I see his point in that, it's a lack of community. I've said this before, where I believe the Black community is raised by single mothers, which is a detriment, which has in turn shattered the Black community, where there is no actual community. This is why, in my personal opinion, it's going back to having men as leaders of the Black community. Men as leaders of the Black community. Families are more important. And then it could subsequent where the gathering of families where, yes, the women get together and, start taking care of the children together. The fathers, were providing. And I believe this was back during, the Jim Crow era and stuff over there, where actually the auntie was helping, your cousin was helping. So people were looking out for each other. This is the thing where I talked to some older Black ladies, how they said that back when they were young, aunties were helping. You respected the elders. You looked towards elders.
That's how
you
my
found guidance
was.
with elders.
She's one of 12. My mom's one of 12. 12 kids. My grandma's one of 20 kids. So they had huge families, just like the Nigerians do, just like the Jews do, and all these Ethiopians, all these people who come here and do well. They have these huge family systems where, if you want to go start a business, then you have an uncle who can say, I have a business, I'll help you out. Maybe if a little girl wants to be a nurse, then her other aunt's a nurse. Like, there are these huge family systems, and now the Black community has become so individualistic. A Nigerian family is a mom, a dad, and 3 kids.
Well, then the blame of that goes onto the Black church then, because if we're thinking about other religions, so if we're looking at other cultures, the importance of the father is prevalent inside their religion and inside that unit. Whether it's Tao, Buddhism, Uism, Muslim, and Christianity, and conservative Christianity. Even and this is something that I've even noticed, and I've seen in some single father groups and divorced dad groups. They're starting to understand the system of white supremacy is not working for them because of what happens when they have a divorce or their child's mother. They're seeing that the government's now siding with them. So now they're kind of getting fucked over by the government, and that's kind of been a very strange grouping where it's like Black men and conservative white men of America who have had this same thing happen to them now are trying to come together, and it's like, wait a minute, like, well, shit, we can be racist to each other later. Let's fix this fatherhood shit first. So it's actually kind of amazing to see like different walks of men from different religions of America having this thing happen to them, where it's like, shit, we realize how much that the government doesn't give a shit about men and fatherhood. And even those conservative white men who are very Christian, who in their religion, the father is super important, they now realize the government is demonic.
But that's why
that's kind of been a really cool awakening in the last, I think, 8 years since the pandemic until now.
That's why these trad cons, you know, the Crowders and all these guys, these Christian trad con guys that are like, oh, you know, men need to get married and men need to this, until they end up in divorce court. Ain't no God in divorce court. You know what I'm saying? And all it
Nowhere.
is a small group of men that are using women and the government to redistribute wealth from us, from the rest of us men to themselves. That's all it is. And all men, black, white, rich, poor, military, can get got by child support, family court, paternity fraud, all of that, you know? And men are starting to wake up and realize, dude, like, if all these rich, powerful men get cooked, us regular guys will get cooked, you know? That's why when Steven Crowder got you guys remember his whole story? He was like, oh, well, I waited, you know, my wife and I waited until marriage to have sex, so we're so much cooler than all you know, degenerate heathens, blah blah blah. But then what happens? His wife had the twins and then waited like, it was like 8 or 9 years in whatever state so that she gets a whole bunch of alimony, and then baited him into a yelling match and made it look like he was abusive, and then leaked it to the press, and now he's getting cooked. And now Crowder's saying all of the same talking points that you see the red pill guys about marriage and all this other stuff.
Yep.
It's the same thing, man. I thought he was a man of God, right?
We gotta let Arnie go, who just came up, say something.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, brothers?
Yeah, I was watching. I'm bouncing it out. I got 3 young kids. They need to go to bed, so yelling and screaming and all that stuff is going on. So that's why I'm bouncing it out. But yeah, shout out to my boy AJ. I agree wholeheartedly, and I said this on one. I think your very first ever panel show, DA. I said for black people, the church is the #1 place where all the drama, every issue that goes on in the black community. I always said this started with the black church, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the motherfucking face. Even if you take the Bible by itself, because I don't like the fact of I don't like religion. I'll deal with the book separately. I'll deal with the book by itself. You take the very first story in it ever told. The man, the woman didn't follow an instruction. Now, a lot of people, like I did a real short on Instagram saying, I've had a black pastor saying, it's Adam's fault that sin is in the world. And I'm like, dude, first off, Eve sinned first, #1. #2, she even spoke to the serpent saying she wasn't to touch the fruit or wasn't to eat and or touch from the fruit. So not only did Eve sin first, she knew she was doing wrong, and then she corrupted Adam to do it. Now, Adam is goofy for following his woman. So I've always said this. Man's shortcoming is a woman. Woman's shortcoming is her brain. So just from that story alone, that's where everything kind of falls apart. Now, how the black church comes into this is because that standard set in the very first book, the very first story ever told, they don't follow it. There's so many stories and there's so much information in the book that the black church washes out, and they'll never hold the feet to the fire from women to act or conduct themselves a certain way, and the men, because if the men conduct themselves a certain way and women did, you wouldn't get all of the BS going around here. But what you also wouldn't get is all the luxuries of life. And I always said the #1 problem in dating and relationship is the word standard. Everything in dating and relationships, in life in general, is always set to the tune of a woman's standard. What she believes, how it goes. Like even happy wife, happy life. It's never supposed to be that way. And so where Broken Berlin is saying, if we got rid of that system, or we got rid of the religion, or as a whole, we were doing better, or we would do better, I would say partly, but the issue always comes down to standard. Now, how everybody in the world does better.
Just a quick thing. I'm mainly saying that, and my papa said this, the problem with Christianity and black people is that there's no alchemy in it. The idea that saying like, oh, if I do something wrong, I can just say, I believe in Jesus, say I'm sorry, and then everything's okay. He says, unfortunately, we've lost the alchemy in Christianity because it's been taken out. And he says that indigenous religion is the closest thing to probably what our original religions were. And there's alchemy in that. Even the words you speak into this atmosphere, you have to be accountable for. And he says that, like the gossiping that you see in black churches are a complete contradiction to this religion.
Yeah.
especially in black churches, gossip,
That's
gossip,
what-
gossip inside this church. And so he was saying that this religion's not working for black people because he says that's the number one thing you would see in a black church is the
Yeah.
one gossip, gossip, gossip. Well, if that's the case, then that means this religion's not working for you.
Yeah, well,
That's why
it's
my
so
mom stopped going to church when she was a teenager. She's from a small town in Alabama, and that's why my family, because my dad's not religious either, but why my mom's so anti-church is because my mom was a firm believer growing up, and then when she got a little bit older and saw all the women gossiping and all the people cheating and doing all the stuff, but then trying to put on this holier than thou front, she kind of fell out of it. You know what I'm saying? But Artie, you had said that they preach that Adam sinned first. Well, who is Pastor Porkchop preaching to? Right? That's why all these single moms and all these women in the church and the gay choir director. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
In general,
But
men aren't going to church much anymore. They still believe, but they're not going because the whole prosperity gospel, Joel Osteen, all this stuff. They're trying to
yeah,
get women in there because they put more money on that collection plate.
yeah, but I always said like the reason why let me just say this in the grand scheme of thing, the reason why the world's in disarray and everything's falling apart and prices up and down, the overarching thing is there's no more lies that can be told. We live in technology and now so we have all the answers to every interaction you're ever going to have in life in general. So when somebody comes up to you with a bold-faced lie, they look stupid, they sound stupid, it irritates your skull, it messes your skin up, and it's like that for everything. So even when like rest in peace Charlie Kirk, right? When he gets shot, everybody's gonna say, "Oh, it's one shooter." Well, we already know, just us on this panel, we already know that's BS. Number one, because we have AI, so anything can be faked now. So I can't even trust that I'm talking to y'all. You know what I mean? In a sense, all I have to go off is your merit of your actions. So it's easier to do it with y'all because we're all sensible men. But in any interaction in life, everything it has to be real now, but there's still actors and people in life who need it to be fake because when it's fake, there can be sales involved. When it's fake, there's marketing ads and there's advertising dollars and stuff like that. So as far as the black church is concerned, the pastor's always going to say it's Adam's fault that this situation is like that. But if you just read those first 3 chapters of the book, outside God saying what he did on each day and the birds and this, that, and the fourth, if you just read that story, she said to the serpent she wasn't to do it. Now, there is no verse saying, did Adam tell her or did that come from God? But there is a verse saying God told Adam what to do and not to eat from that fruit. And she uttered that response to the serpent. So my pea brain works like one told one and another one told another one. So, but a pastor, a grown live pastor with a whole church will spew that out to millions of women or millions of people online to have you just believe the falsehood. And until we can rectify that issue, which I don't see how, it'll never get better. But the only way I truly see the black community gaining ground and getting back to some sense of respect and duty and honor and everybody happy and commingling together is the conditions have to be set for it to work. And right now with technology, I'll even dare say electricity, like it's not going to work. And I'll leave it at that. Like if there was a TV show called Revolutions years ago, it only had 1 season. And the premise of the show, if you didn't know, was all the electricity in the world went out. It was a great show. If you could find it and watch it, it was a fantastic show. 1 season, I don't know why, but the electricity in the whole world went out. So you saw what Amish people kind of live like in regular communities. Like you've seen cul-de-sacs of people growing farm in that big roundabout circle in their cul-de-sac. Like
I
it
remember
was
the show.
yeah, it was an amazing show.
Yeah.
But if those conditions, you see that condition
Yeah.
that was met, no electricity. So now everybody has to survive. So unless that condition of you absolutely having to do it the right way
Yeah.
is met, is presented, then you'll do it any other way. And I think it was Woodrow Wilson who had the famous quote saying, people will do what's in their best interest only after they've exhausted every possible outcome. So people are going to go out here and do everything in the world they want to. I could tell somebody, hey, look, you keep drinking, smoking, or you keep eating this processed food, you're going to die. But until somebody, like, until that condition is met where he has to do it, he's going to do what he wants to do. And that largely goes for women, men, people who can get something off of each other. If I just took away the electricity today and didn't return it for, let's just say 50 years, Now everybody's going to learn how to eat. Now everybody's going to eat health. Now everybody's going to learn how to eat off the fruit of the land. But until then, everybody's going to keep buying burgers. We're going to keep going to McDonald's. I'm going to keep getting these Oreo milkshakes, farting and shit. Like everybody's going to keep doing this. And it's sad to say, but that's how life goes. You know, until that condition is met, which forces people to survive. You know, even in the very first story I told you about with Adam and Eve, the fact that Adam and Eve had a choice. When you simply have a choice to do something, you're always going to do it selfishly for the most part. So Eve had a choice. She did it selfishly and corrupted another man. So the man had a choice before Eve was there, and he is the only one who sensibly, outside of that system, did it the right way. But he was by himself doing it. So that proves that a man has to be in that leadership role. A man has to have that authority figure for things to work. But until these conditions are met for absolute perfection or absolute life and death, people are just going to selfishly do what they want to do.
But you know, that's kind of what I wanted to talk. What I want to say. You said it's not really the lack of electricity. Is that I think again, it's about family. But one of the problem in the Black community is that because women are at the head, right, in the Black community right now, I believe that they don't value men. They don't value good men. They don't value making men leaders. They don't, because so many women, we've seen so many videos of this. We know this thing. Black women don't believe they need black men, or they don't believe they can follow the leaderships of black men. So black men don't even try to be leaders, and women don't follow the lead of any man. So I think that is definitely a detriment until the Black community sees that, oh, we need men to lead. We need men to lead the community. We need to be, obedient and, feminine to our leaders type men. I think you will still go down that route where there's no respect, there's no morality, there's no fear of authority, and it's a downfall.
Yeah, one last thing. It'll continue happening. It's basically like it'll continue to happen like that with technology that comes and goes. It'll be like little pockets, little recessions here and there that'll cause some women to wake up. Some women will be like, hey, I need to really do this. Some men will wake up and say, hey, I gotta quit being a dickhead in the hood and quit selling dope and actually get it. Like, some people are gonna do that, of course, right? Not everything is but for the most part, most people are just gonna be, hey, as selfish as they can be, until they really get what they need in life, but only until it's down to the last thing. It's going to be that way. And sad to say, technology, only reason why it really gets bad is because, in my opinion, technology has kind of took this from where it was kind of like a 1.5 speed to now it's like a 4.5 speed, and that's only because technology. So maybe in 100 years, when we are all dead and gone, it'll probably stave off and kind of get kind of be not as bad. But who knows? Like, I made the mention doing a live stream, hey, in 50 years when we all flying in the sky, it's going to be another girl saying, no, you ain't got no flying, you got a flying Toyota car, I need a flying Bentley. It ain't gonna work. So it's going to be the same shit. It's going to be the same shit.
You got a house on the moon. I need a house on Mars.
Yeah, no, you got the iPhone. You got the iPhone teleport to another area. I need the iPhone teleport to another planet. It ain't gonna work.
iPhone warp drive.
Yeah, it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. You see what I'm saying? It's gonna be that way until it has to go down to the bottom. And that's why I mentioned that show. What was it called? Revolutions, I think it was. It only had one season. It's still to this day probably my favorite show.
Artie, check out Jericho, bro. Artie, check out Jericho. It kind of has the same premise.
Jericho,
yeah, Jericho's good.
Yeah, Jericho's great.
I have a concept that I call the arrogance and the ignorance of abundance. Okay. The only reason why this LDHD TV transformer feminist stuff can happen is because our society, people's bellies are full, they have roof over their head, and their lights are on. When crisis happens, traditional gender roles they reestablish themselves real fast.
Exactly.
Us men, we goofed in that we made the world so easy for the laziest of men. These are the men that the alley-oops would put on an ice block and let them flow out into the ocean, or these crazy chicks, right? In the third world, like the Middle East, they can't do this. You know what I'm saying? Because they're this is why I don't say MGTOW. I would say men minding their own business, right?
Yeah.
Men minding their own business is a more indifferent version of MGTOW. Guys just don't even. You see a chick broke down on the side of the road, keep on driving. Guys, don't help her get. Nah, if enough men check out of society, it's gonna. You guys ever watch Intervention? The show?
Yeah.
You guys know how they do an intervention on a junkie and they create an artificial rock bottom? Enough men walking away, it might need to be 20% of men. It might be 25. But a tipping point is usually 13 to 17%, where enough people start getting affected that it starts to snowball. It could be 17%, 20% of men completely check out. Then
But
it's going to start.
Is that even realistic for 13?
It's
Because I'm just
happening
thinking
now, bro.
No. No, hear me out. I'm saying I believe you. I just don't know if it's that number. I think that number's got to be up to close to like 35, 40% because so many men, if so many men step out of it, girls are still going to push because as long as girls work, as long as girls have the choice, they're going to do whatever the choice is, they're going to make the most selfish of the choice. So if all the men check out or most of the men check out, girls are still gonna, because they got a job to go to, they're gonna live in fucking it's gonna be a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 girls in there. They on bunk beds in the living room, and they still
until
be
they
out
start
here.
getting older. See what we're gonna have.
They're still. I think they'll still do that when they're older. I look at my mom. Hold on, let me tell this one quick story. My mom is 65 years old. She's about 5 foot even. She's as round as she is tall, right? She literally told me the other day she's an NFL wide receiver is in her DM, and she's talking to this guy. I swear to God, I'm helping her move into she's moving into a 55 plus community. She's telling me an current NFL wide receiver she's in conversation. So I said, okay, well, fine. Let's just follow this crazy train down as far as it go. I said, well, what's his name? She's not going to give me his name. I said, okay, I'm trying to figure out who this imaginary person is to see if she even got a correct roster name for an NFL wide receiver. I say, okay, is he AFC, NFC? She said AFC. I said, is he on a playoff team? At first, I had to figure out what position he played. And then she eventually told me wide receiver. She never, ever told me his name. I said, all right, so you mean to tell me you talking to an NFL wide receiver? Does he know that your 37-year-old son is spending time away from his responsibility to help you move into a 55-plus-year-old 1-bedroom like in the community? Does he know this? She said, yeah. I said, and he ain't put $1,500 down on nothing. Like he ain't got no money for nothing. I said, okay. Then I said, here's the last thing. I said, you ever FaceTime him? Like, you know what I mean? Is he tall? Is he cute? I said, you ever like FaceTime him? Like, what do he look like? She said, nah, we just talking on the phone. I said, bam, man. One of you Nigerian Negro.
I'm saying.
My damn mama. And when I find you, I'm going to cut each one of your toes off. I promise you.
You are the most beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah, I asked her. I said, I started crying, laughing. I said, Ma, I'm being dead serious with you. That's a scammer. Do not send any money to him. Do not give him any personal information. Don't let him know your address. She telling me now she's talking to somebody else too. She's juggling 2 men, but she also said there's this military guy that's a 3-star general in in what fucking country is that? Is it Yemen? I think she said he's getting ready to retire. Yeah. He's been 30 years in the military. He's a 3-star general in Yemen, and he's getting ready to come to the States. He's originally from Florida. He's gonna come out here. He's 6'1", and he's asking her, where do you want to live? Do you want to have a home? Like this, that, and the fourth. And I'm like, okay, all of this is fine and dandy. If you're gonna, I don't believe bullshit until bullshit happens. For one, number two, I'll go along with your game. Just realize that you're the only one playing it, and I still won't believe you. So as long as you know that,
live streams on these chicks getting got for 3, 4, 500K from the Jamaican scammers and the Nigerians. And guys, I have Nigerian friends, and they'll even straight up say, "Hey, yo, man, I got cousins. You can't trust them as far as you can throw them, you know." But I think that that right now, because you look at like Korea and Japan, right? men don't cost much money as we get older, but women's elder care costs a lot more money, right? So you end up in Japan and Korea where there's so many single chicks that they're bankrupting the country. You know what I'm saying? They can't afford it. So I think that what'll happen, because you remember in marketing and other things, that tipping point's 13 to like 17%. So for instance, I listened to Tom Likas back in the day, and he was talking about that $5 foot long. You know what I'm saying? When they pulled that was 80% effective. A good marketing campaign tip is 13 to 17%. Because if you can get 1 in 5 odd people talking about your campaign, it might change how they purchase and buy. It's the same with propaganda and behavior, right? So if 20, 25, 30% of young men, I'm not just talking about checked out of dating. I'm talking about these guys aren't getting married, so there's no marriage certificates, no child support, no family court. They're not. They're just living in their small house or their small place and playing Xbox. Imagine what that's going to do to all these systems that, like I said, the small group of men use to redistribute wealth. It's government and women to steal wealth from us men. Imagine if a whole group of guys don't play. We're going to create an artificial rock bottom, and women are going to, well, either that or they're not going to survive. They're going to have to drag their knees across broken glass, because men will be just fine. They'll be just fine.
They'll sell, and that's the one thing. That's one of the things that CGA talks about. They'll end up selling box for bottles of water. Like that's kind of already going on. Well, I mentioned that story earlier of a 19-year-old growing up in a town outside of where I grew up at, and she died. She hopped in the car with somebody who was 35 years old of a different race, and Lord knows what he did to her, and then he ended up killing her. So like women are already currently doing that, and as far as marriage is concerned, if any woman's really searching to get married, your best bet is honestly you gotta. I don't want to say perv out. You gotta get them right out of high school. That's when the guy is. That's when the guy is. I mean, he is literally stupid enough to do it. Like if he gets any type of life experience, he's gonna realize that's all it takes is one good fuck up from a girl, and he'll realize, oh no, or he's gonna see his dad or somebody else go through it, and he ain't gonna do it. So any woman who really wants to get married, you're gonna have to go young. You're gonna have to go legally young, like as legal as you can go. Like that's the only way you're gonna get it. Because
you're seeing that right now. You're seeing like older women dating really young men, and you're seeing the effects that a lot of men are, because of all these movements, Passport Bros, MGTOW, Redpill. A lot of men are waking up, and you're seeing the effects of it now.
Hey, Artie, guys, have you heard of the? It's a Japanese word, but it stands for granny smokers. They're in Japan. There's old women that don't have a pension, so they'll go in the park and they're prostitutes. They're old, like 60, 70-year-old women in Japan, straight up, dude. And then also there's women that go hungry.
What's it called? Is it a show or a movie or something?
Here's a drop this in the private chat here. And then also in Japan, there's old women who will go to prison because they're hungry and they have nothing to eat, or they're lonely, so they'll shoplift and go to jail because they would prefer jail. That's the future of Western chicks if they keep effing around and find out. You know what I'm saying? Because this feminism thing has made it. Men have always been part of
it. The boom of it. It's crazy. There's a boom of a granny. I guess that sells their body. That is crazy. Yeah. That's a boom.
All feminism did was give women access to the worst outcomes that usually only men had. We were homeless, we were crazy, we were alcoholics, we were unemployed, we're having all these negative outcomes, and now they fought to end up right down there with us. Go to California, go to whatever, you see homeless women. Guys, growing up, I never saw homeless women. But now they're free to succeed and they're free to fail, and a lot of them they're choosing to fail, and society's not going to stop them. That's just the thing. Guys, is Evil Eddie gonna put himself in harm's way? Is Phoenix Bars gonna swoop in with his no, it ain't happening.
I'm doing that shit. Nope. It's gonna happen. And not only is it gonna keep getting worse, but the idea is that these women, they go down swinging, but they also go down like making they throw themselves on a grenade, but they also at the same time give the keys to keep this shit going with their younger children. So, and
Yep.
like somebody has to again, like I said, it's got to be stripped away. I think the only thing that's strong enough to strip it away is like war. Either it's going to have to be war on American soil,
Yeah.
or just loss of electricity,
Yeah.
a fucking plague that takes out 30% of everybody here,
Yeah.
and it has to be some sort of force. But once that happens, then everybody's gonna there's not gonna be these luxuries of life, because in you think about it, in the Bible days, like there was order for people, right? And there's the people who didn't live, that lived outside of it. They were all, you know, casted out and all that. But the people who lived in order, they didn't fucking take trips to Turks and Caicos. They didn't get fucking Pop-Tarts from the store. You know, they lived hard off the land, and that's the only way to do it correctly. But it is what it
This
is.
is why, if you talk to a lot of like women that are immigrants, my coworker, she's from Siberia. Okay, like it's weird because she has like blonde hair, blue eyes, but she's got like an Asian kind of look to her because her dad is like, you know, like the Siberian Azerbaijani, and then her mom is Russian. So, but she's like, she grew up like in Siberian wilderness. So her husband is, you know, does well, and then she works part-time. But she's like, all these women who claim that they want to climb roofs and do the men do, she goes, in Russia, they don't say that because you see men working all the time. You know what I'm saying? Women do women's jobs and men do men's jobs. Where she's from, this is like back in the old West, you were the school marm, or you were the nurse, or you were working at the market, or you were inside, because it was a rough life. So she doesn't understand this whole feminism thing where women just claim that they can do most men don't want to do what a lot of men do, working on oil rigs and friggin'. I have one friend, guys. You guys know the big chemical trucks, the big trucks, the trailers, where they haul the chemicals.
Yeah.
He cleans the inside of those trailers.
Ooh.
God damn.
Yo, he puts on this special suit, and
Like
then
the whole hazmat
they
thing.
lower him in, and he has to shimmy and scrub. And if he moves wrong, he gets blown to kingdom come. You know what I'm saying? But he makes a good amount of money doing it.
Hey, that hazard pay's got to be something else.
Yeah, Artie, you had said one thing about the Bible, and it's like, you make a good point when you say that people should read the first story in the Bible, but you know that none of these morons read nowadays.
No, nobody's gonna read, bro.
If it ain't doom scrolling through TikTok, these 304s ain't doing nothing, and they don't even read the words. Then you know what I'm saying?
They don't even if you just take everything away from the Bible, just everything, and just have the very first story that was ever told, not the creation of like the earth and the heavens and this, that, and forth.
Yeah,
just the very first story of Adam and Eve and what they did. People forget that when Adam was here by himself, he was on point. He was doing everything God asked him to do. He named all the animals. He took care of the lands. He didn't touch what God said don't touch. He did everything perfect. The only thing that he needed was a helper. And God, laid him down, took the rib, made Eve, and then Eve got the orders from Adam because she verbalized those to the snake, which I don't know how people forget this shit. They just make it seem like, well, Adam didn't tell Eve what to do, and she did what she knows. She knew what she was doing.
This is part why I think it's controversially women are the poison.
Yeah.
Women are the poison of our society right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, man's only vice is a woman. Woman's only vice is her brain, her thinking,
The
what
Bible
she thinks
says it.
she
Islam
can do.
says it. All these religions say it. And what's even worse, I say, is these college educated, upper middle class, white chicks. I call them the enemy of mankind, because they can be empowered and victims at the same time. Okay, they're one of the only groups that can do this. They have a BLM shirt and a black square on their Instagram, but then Phoenix Bars is jogging through their neighborhood. Oh my God! And they call the cops on them. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. They are the most ridiculous group of people, and then will claim that white men bad, white supremacy bad, as their husband is like some white dude CEO, their dad is some CEO, so they're benefiting from this patriarchy that they claim to want to try and take down.
No,
yeah, it's amazing, but it's going to keep happening, man. Just prepare.
Bars,
All
what is
I
your
will tell
thought?
dudes, prepare.
Let bars.
Uh,
Any thoughts?
yes, I was. Well, with religion, I think people need to understand when the missionaries came to Africa, they said, "We'll give you this sandwich. We know you're starving. We'll give you the sandwich, but you gotta adopt our religion." First of all, second of all, in slavery, when that's what they was given to a lot of people. That's what was given to us. And Kilos has this freestyle where he says that now we pray to the same God they gave us, and that's what it is. People have to start like AJ and Artie were saying. We have to start reading. We have to start knowing the truth of the matter, not how we feel. How we feel and the truth is two different things, and they really don't have no place in the same conversation to me, actually. But we have been given personally, like somebody said, that I feel like the government and certain things are really satanic, diabolical, whatever you want to say. They really don't care. They really for the family law system to know what's going on. Because you're not going to tell me these people who went to Harvard and Yale and all that stuff, well, I'm smarter than them. So I'm smarter than them, and they went to Harvard and Yale. What's really going on in this world?
Yeah.
So we have to find out the truth of the matter and leave our feelings aside.
Yeah.
Leave our feelings aside. Like I say, I read Mein Kampf. People don't people don't want to know what the enemy is thinking, and that's the biggest downfall of humanity. Actually, you got to know what the enemy is thinking so you can combat that. But I
Yeah.
think these people are just really evil because, well, it's evil, but it's materialism. It's idol worship.
Yeah.
Money is the new god. Money is the new god. It's idol worship. You know what I'm saying? And that's all they care about. They care about men being out of the house because if a man is out of the house, he can't control a woman's spending. And like I see all the time, they went from texting one person to texting the whole family.
Yeah.
And I think that has to be recognized. We had to recognize that.
Yep.
Phoenix, I did a story of this one chick. Do you guys see her? She had her 4 kids, and she was on Instagram Live, and she took them to a swimming pool and said she was going to drown them all on Instagram Live. She threw them in the pool, and it turns out that the dad, black man, filed for custody of his kids. She had been, what is it called, where they put you in the loony bin?
5150.
Yeah, something like that.
Institutionalized.
No, yeah, there's a certain order. It's a name. I forget what it's called. But she had been institutionalized like 4 times. He still couldn't get his kids. And if you look in the comments, well, why didn't the father get his kids? He was trying to get his kids. He was
Yes.
trying to get his kids. They Baker acted her 4 times. And if you look in the comments, they cannot blame the mother. They always try and say this is what they've done is they've almost made it so that women are deified. This idolification of everything to where women, they can't even take the L. And even if they are, everyone always says it was mental health, it was postpartum, it was all this other stuff. But as we know for a fact that if a disabled person, a child, or an elderly person is deleted, 99% of the time, a woman did it. You are safer leaving your child with a jaguar than a woman.
Yep. The number. It's unfortunate. The number one killer of kids is women.
Yeah,
and people don't like to think of that.
But when it happens, people always say, "Oh, well, she had mental health issues." And the other thing about religion too, we'll remember that Christianity was actually in Africa, in Ethiopia, a long time ago. It went up through Europe. There was a great schism with the Orthodox Church and with the Protestant, and then it came back. Because if you look, because I have Ethiopian friends, right? Ethiopian Orthodox, because like I said, I'm not religious, but I look at the difference between the modern church and like my Ethiopian friends. First of all, culturally, do you know that they use the original biblical calendar? Business-wise, they have 12 months. Culturally, they have 10. Okay? Because the Bible says 10 months. They don't believe in the LDHD TV stuff. They don't believe in the transformer stuff. They don't believe in the feminism thing because they're practicing of what their original Christendom that goes back to like the original Orthodox Church does not allow that. Now, I'm not trying to say that, religion's great. What I am saying is that if you look at the difference in that and how the Christianity that was in Africa from, when Christ died to the kind that like Phoenix had said, the missionaries brought, look at the strength of the culture in Ethiopia that their religion has managed to keep. They're not getting infiltrated. Quick story for him. My one friend's Ethiopian. He said in 2012, this LDHD TV travel agency was like, hey, can we establish a tour of Ethiopia for gay people? And the minister was like, oh, no, you cannot do this, right? And he was like, well, why is that? It's like, well, maybe in the main capital city, you might be okay, but once you get outside that city, if you're holding hands with a dude, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Dunzo.
I kind of think it still goes back to because women taking charge.
Facts,
women are taking charge.
Yep. And
Women take over charge of religion. I think women have taken charge over religion. Women have taken charge over, politics. Women have taken charge over dating, social society. Women, because I've said this, right? I think after feminism, now everything and anything, it is women have hands in it.
Yep.
Women have their hands in it. So either they did it purposely or subconsciously. Everything you see, every aspect of life, women have a hand in it, and it's the result of women's actions, right? Yes. Women, trying to make emotional, make people more emotional, make people, all these sympathetic, all these other shit. So at the end of the day, it's sadly is that it's because men have lost their leadership, men have lost their role as the head of the nation, as head of the family, as head of, they're the ones to make the rules. Now, we have now to step back and just watch the world burn down that women create. So it's just going to be ugly.
Question, because I don't like when people say, well, men need to step up and do blank, because you can't. We live in a free society. We can't force women to do anything. You can't lead people who don't want to follow in a free society. I can't just jump out the bushes and grab a chick and be like, you will follow my lead. Especially when people, like I said, government and corporations incentivize women to not follow men.
No.
So this whole thing where if only men would just do blank. We never stopped. They just stopped listening to us.
No, because that's the thing where I this is a lot controversial. I think majority of men are good men. So we're not going to force anybody to do something that they don't want to do. We're not going to force women to, change. We're not going to try to shackle women. We're not. So I think how good men are now is that one thing I focus is that just focus on yourself, improve yourself, betterment your own life, and essentially, have some popcorn and watch the world burn down that women create. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, and we'll if the world's still around, hopefully we as men will pick up the ashes and just take back the power. By not force, but by what it's the natural order.
Yeah,
right. Because you got to think about this, right? It's the natural order that it's not by force or anything. Because you even see the lion pride. Okay, a lion, one male lion with 6 dozens of female lions. A whole bunch of female lions could technically kill that one lion, but they don't do it. It's just how the order is. It's just how nature is.
Well,
okay, it's not that men don't need to force anything onto women. It's how it's naturally is. Men should be the lead. Women should follow. But now women are particularly fighting against nature. They're fighting against biology. So that's the difference where men just, men, they don't want the headache, right? They don't want a headache of fighting against women. So we're just MGTOWing, right? Or just doing her own shit.
Well, remember that the male lion fights off either larger predators who threaten the pride or other male lions, right?
True.
So, like male lions can take down larger prey, but even look at like Wyoming and Washington State and Alaska in like 1920 and 1930 when it was still the frontier. If you had us 5 guys and our wives and children out in the frontier, and 6 guys came riding towards the town on horseback, that's not good. You know what I'm saying? We'd have to get the rifles and chase them off. That's what men do. You know what I'm saying? We protect and we provide, but what and people like us, they always say we have 10 hats on because we talk about these agendas. Just like Phoenix Barr said, women that are married spend less money. So let's make all the women single and then charge them $14,000 for a Birkin bag. Let's my dad's girlfriend's daughter, she pays $4,200 a month. She's for rent for a downtown. Men don't do that. A single woman would. So there was a whole agenda to keep men and women separate so they can squeeze money out of men. And then what happens? These women, they decide, oh, hey, Phoenix Bars, I went to school to be a lawyer and I'm some chick and I'm 32 and now I want to marry and have a kid. So you need to take me on with my $300,000 in student loan debt and my Mercedes payment and all this other crap. And it's like, that's just not going to work. It's just not, you know? But
yeah, like I said, it's the standard. The standard always has to be set by them, only because, you know, like you said, it's 14, like paying that same thing, and you were only talking about the interest. Like that's the interest on the damn loan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it has to be, it has to. But when the reason with the problem with people having a standard is when you do put a standard on people, it limits them. You know, like the book said, like, if you're going to put a standard on people, what they can and can't do, it limits their ability to do what they want to do. But if you limit it, they actually live better. They live longer. You know, they actually live great. You know, but it focuses your attention. Like if you had energy in a day, if you dedicated 1 hour a day to 24 different things, you'll rarely ever master any one of them because you're dedicating all of your time to so many things versus dedicating all of your time to one single thing where your chance of mastery is that much greater and that much quicker. You know what I mean? And it's like that. But listen, we can't tell these people anything because they gotta have their houses, they gotta have their cars, they gotta, you know, keep getting these new loans and stuff like that. You know, it's nothing we can do unless one of y'all is gonna force somebody to do it. But good luck doing that, because the moment you go to do something like that, even if it's for that person's benefit, there's going to be a gang of guys who are going to, you know, jump you and capture you and throw you in prison for doing something for somebody else's benefit. But so you can't even do something for somebody else's benefit. You know, you go around snacking, you go around and smack the cigarette out of somebody's hand. You know, it's literally doing something that should save their life. Don't even harm them. You can get assaulted. You can get an assault charge for that. I'm helping this guy, but I'm gonna get an assault charge. So you can't physically help nobody. All you can do is stand back on the sideline and watch. And that's what we all doing. I got a good front row seat.
Yeah,
I think it's just selfishness that it's especially American. It's Americans' arrogance and selfishness that it's destroying us. And you know, like I said, money is the new god. You know, and that's what it is. These women think because they make X amount of money, which is mostly really a form of affirmative action. That's why they have what they have, because they are women and they're black or they're a minority or whatever. That's why they're getting most of the stuff anyway. That's why the student loans are so high, because they're getting the form of affirmative action at the beginning. You know, and you can't tell them nothing. And it's like, okay, well, if I can't tell you nothing, then my advice to everybody. Like I said, I'm pro marriage, I'm pro family, but what we have now is not going to be allowed in a way. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, we just gotta be like, look, like you said, watch it burn down. If they're gonna use, let me put this in black terms. If they're gonna use massa to destroy me, okay, well then I'll just pick my cotton and just make my money picking my cotton.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying?
Men minding their own
Make your
business.
money.
That's what I call
Yeah,
it.
I love it.
mind your own business.
If DA, let's just say that like that we are all in a neighborhood, and DA's the guy, he's making the money. He's got the nice car. He's got the nice house, all this other stuff, right? You would think that we would like kind of look and see what he's doing, especially in times of like economic crisis, right? All right, well, so we're hitting a recession. So what's DA doing, right? Think about it, guys. These women, more men are saving retirement. They whine about the wage gap, so we make more money, despite the fact that they say they're all boss chicks. How can they be boss chicks, but there's a wage gap at the same time? Men make more money. We have more investments. We have more retirement. We have all this other stuff, right? You would think that they would be looking and seeing what we're doing. Men are not going to college as much anymore. Men are going into trades. Men aren't doing they're doing the exact opposite of what we're doing, and then complaining about the negative outcomes. If DA was balling, he was down the street, I'm gonna knock on his door. Hey man, help! Show me what I'm doing. What was that movie with Will Smith? Well, The Pursuit of Happiness. Remember the guy inside of the Ferrari? Hey man, what do you do? He asked the guy, and the guy told him. Women are so dumb. They're so stupid that they will see that us men are getting better outcomes. And instead of admitting that we have the better outcomes, they're going to say what? Oh, they'll push some socialist things trying to say that we owe them money, or they're going to keep trying to do it their way and get degrees in underwater lesbian studies. It's just ridiculous.
No, I do agree that this is the problem where women don't want to learn from men, but it is what it is. This is why I want to promote more men to actually pay attention and listen to other men, because again, I think that's a benefit for young men coming up, right? Because this is the thing where I've always wanted to try to gear my speech to the young men who are suffering, because we do have a lot of young men that are suffering that sadly are being led by women. Okay, they're not being led by men. So, and they're being led in to fail, because again, they're being led by women. So that is the problem with a lot of young men, where we need to learn that we need to be smarter. We need to go about life better. We need to care about ourselves, some self-respect. Not put women on a pedestal. Not think that women are, everything and anything. So that is a problem with a lot of young men, and this is why I love it that we have a bunch of little communities that are growing and producing a lot of smart men, and a lot of men that care what's happening to men.
This is why our side will always win, is because all of us are accomplished, we're knowledgeable, we read. We aren't competing with younger guys. We're trying to keep them from making the same mistakes we are. But that's how many times DAs reacted to these. You see these 45-year-old chicks still out there in the club trying to compete with all the same chicks as 25-year-old chicks, trying to say anytime that any 45-year-old chick talks about age gap dating, it's because they don't want the younger chicks to take their men. You know what I'm saying? So they're fighting. They're always fighting each other. Us say we'll take the L. We have simped. We have this. We got divorced. We got this. Whatever. Don't do what we've done, and that's why this space will always help. We'll always win. And another thing too, you guys may have noticed this, because we're almost around this time. About every, I want to say 26, 27 months. Oh, the red pill is dead. Oh, no, it's gone. This one guy is gone. And what are they going to do? No, it's not. No, it's not. Especially older millennials are getting divorced en masse. That's why anyone who's like 37 to 42, those are older millennials, they're getting cooked in divorce court. What happens is these blue pills, these betas, these guys that are like, well, devil's advocate, you sound like you hate women, right? They get their balls burned in a divorce, and then they're sleeping on their mom's couch because the wife took the house. And they get online and they find channels like DA's channel or like mine, and they're like, oh crap, I wish I'd have known this 15 years ago. You know what I mean? So yeah, times are, I'm uncharacteristically optimistic, and that Gen Z is more conservative than ever. They've grown up with our talking points. So I see them as kind of being, plus there's like, was it half like Gen Z is half the size of millennials, whatever. So they're really in the pressure cooker as far as like being productive and helping society go. So I think that might be the catalyst to maybe make things change. I don't know, but either way, us guys, we will be fine. It's these chicks, they're cooked. They just don't know it yet. So
no.
Yeah.
You ready? Any final words? Any words?
I just want to say that
Oh.
No. Let's give Eddie. Any thoughts?
Oh, I just think I agree that women, they want a strong guy, but then at the same time they don't want to take direction. And I think this community, we have to show younger men a positive path and basically not let them suffer as we had to go through. That'd be a good contribution to them.
No. All right, Bars. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I just want to say that I think that to kind of bounce off what Eddie said, that I don't think that they want a strong man. I think they have a form of Stockholm syndrome, and they want to rule men. That's what I think. I think they want to Amazon society, and they don't care what men think really. They want to rule over them. They want them to worship. They want to be worshipped by men. That's what I feel. And then I was saying that I think that men will probably do good from kind of sort of looking at women and adopting their sheer ignorance to where they want to admit any woman's fault at all. A woman never does anything wrong. And I say that all the time, that if you're dealing with a woman and she can't even admit that another woman did something wrong or might have misstepped, get away from her. Get away from her immediately. Expeditiously get away from her. Because she'll be the one that will be like, oh, he beat you. You know what I'm saying? She'll be the one to use the system against you. That's what I feel, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
AJ, any thoughts? Any last words? Yeah, he's probably doing his thing. All right, guys. I don't want to. 2 hours is about good enough. I don't want to take you guys too much time. All right.
Hold on.
Oh. He's fighting them kids, I think.
No, he's childless.
Oh, okay.
What? Messing around with your Korean girlfriend?
Sorry, guys.
No, we're just ending it out. We're ending it out.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. I had to run and do something really, really fast. No, but yeah, man. It's channels like yours. I think that a lot of guys, when they see any type of red pill content, they actually realize that we have this weird thing where we silo ourselves. Like, we all remember when we first got red pill, we're like, oh snap, I'm not crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. And also, like, there is no red pill leader. I like your channel because you don't, I don't see you go after any other creators. I don't see you act like you're some supreme leader. Guys, Advocate and I might disagree on on one or two things, but we don't have to agree on everything because we're all going down the same lane, like in the same direction, and we have the same intent, right? And I think that this is the new kind of content creator that's really, really coming up in the space, is someone that doesn't really take things too seriously. Like I don't see DA. Oh, these whores and sluts. You know what I'm saying? And can also discuss things in a more like lighthearted but serious way, you know, and not kind of like have this very rigid form of thinking. I think all of that's gone. That went away with the whole pickup artists and all that other stuff. All that's gone, and now it's just kind of having a space. And also, you're like me, you do lives too. You aren't afraid to let people come up and discuss.
No.
So that's a good thing too. But yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
And yeah, guys,
I love it. Right, I want to promote us being brothers, us caring about each other. I want to break that stereotype that we have to be toxic. We're just talking, right? It's good that we voice our opinions and our viewpoints. We don't need to do ad hominems or be absolutely terrible. We're just
just because you're Asian doesn't mean that you can't talk about the black community. All right, dude. Well, look, facts are facts. All right. Look, I am black. Hey, if anyone says anything, put me up there. Yeah, he should be able to say all the same stuff that I say. He says nothing but stuff that's true. He asks the questions that a lot of us black people should be asking on a daily basis. It's sad that an Asian guy is more willing to have the conversations. Phoenix will, I will, Artie will, Berlin will, but a lot of other men and women in my community won't do it. They won't do it. So,
but it's all good. It's all good. All right, I love the conversation. I love you. I love hanging with you guys. All right, thank you, man. Thank you for stopping by. All right, thank you, Bars. Thank you, Bars. Thank you, You Ready. Poor man just want to stop by. He man doesn't like talking, but thank you for stopping by, my brother.
No, I actually wanted to talk, but
what do you mean? Let's. I'm glad. I want to. I'll give you some time. I want to give you some airtime. What's your thoughts tonight?
Basically, I just basically simple. I just let them walk in the fire. If you want to do that, go ahead.
Of women, just let them. Yeah, just let it burn. We'll just watch the chaos that women have created burn.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing. As long as men are doing well, whatever happens around them happens around them. Just focus on yourself. Respect yourself, love yourself, care about yourself. This is why that's one of the tenets I try to promote. Right. I know all of us, we got to focus on ourselves, be better, get on your journey to be the best version of yourself. So, and then when the world around, the world around us, the world that women created burned down, we'll be good. We'll be good. So that's the thing. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining. All right. Thank you. All right. I hope you guys have a good night, my brothers. Hope you guys have a good night. All right. Evil Eddie, Bars, Poor Man. Love you guys. All right.
All right. You too, DA. Have a nice night.
Night, Poor Man.
Later, my brothers.
Hmm.